Yo. Welcome to another episode of Center for Cinephiles, where we talk about movies and movie-related things. This one's going to be a straight-up review. We'll talk a bit about Godzilla, King of the Monsters. So I saw this film a few weeks ago with my sister, and I was excited, to say the least. But my excitement was actually a little bit tempered by some of the mixed reviews that I'd heard from some people I follow. But because I'm such a fan of the 2014 Gareth Edwards directed film, I was going to see this one anyway. And I saw it, and you know what? I thought it was good. Short response is it was good. I don't think it was as good as the 2014 film. That's just my opinion. What are we dealing with, though? What are we talking about? This film picks up about 5 years after the events of San Francisco, and you are dealing with a family who is still grieving over the loss of different family members, and you discover that Vera Farmiga, who plays the mother in this film, is the member of Monarch. If you've seen Kong Skull Island, you know that Monarch is the company behind trying to keep tabs on and or get rid of the giant monsters. And if you've seen what happens, you know things don't end up too well with people from the Monarch situation. So there you have it. There's been a lot of talk about how the human characters are stale and not fully fleshed out enough. I can say that I think that that's true to some extent. However, I don't think it's completely true. This is just my opinion. I think that there were some emotional beats that were really genuine, that really got me feeling something. And any movie that can do that is always good. Is always, it's a good situation when they can do that. That said, the real draw of a film like this really isn't the humans. It's the giant monsters. People are there to see the monsters fight. Any film like that with multiple monsters, somebody's going to get down and somebody's going to lose badly. This film, it really excels with the visual effects are excellent. The cinematography is really good. The music is great. They have excellent nods to the original Godzilla films. That classic theme that plays every time in the old films, Godzilla makes an appearance, and people go, "Oh, it's Godzilla," and they run away. They play that. How it's done. It's very well done. And so I was like, yes, I was excited for that. There are moments in there that really get you excited as a Godzilla fan. If you're a fan, you get excited. Or if you're just there to see them fight each other, that's awesome too. You'll be excited about hearing that music. Back to the visual effects for 1 second. They're just as good as what was in the first one. Great, well done. I think for the most part the acting was good. It was passable. There were maybe a handful of standouts. I think Vera Farmiga, she was a standout. I was surprised that Millie Bobby Brown, she was underutilized, I think, for how good she is. I know that was what the script called for her, but there was something that was disappointing about that. She is a killer on screen. If you've seen Stranger Things, anything else she may have been in, well, that's all I've seen her in, so I can only speak to that. And then she just murders those scenes. And she had a moment or two where she was able to really, cut loose a little bit, but for the most part, she was sidelined, and I was a little bit disappointed with that. I was expecting to her to have some moments and stuff, but hey, what are you gonna do? Godzilla looks amazing. It looks, you know, I mean, just the rendering is just is great. But I don't know, something about him. I can't put my finger on it. I'll have to watch. I have my memory of the 2014 film is so crisp right now that I feel like that it's hard to. How did you? That was such a great looking, beautiful version of Godzilla. It's the same version, it's slightly different in different parts of the film. I don't know. It was really good, really good, really good. I just felt a little bit different and not as consistent to me. That's just my feeling. It was cool to see Mothra. Mothra was sidelined though, in my opinion, which bothered me a little bit. I was like, well, she needs to be doing. She needs to be around more. Her arc it could have been better. So I'm disappointed about how they played her. Mothra got played. She got played. I'm not gonna tell you what happens, but watch the movie if you're curious. See what happens. What happens? They played her. Ghidorah was ridiculous. Rodan was ridiculous. It was nice that they had nods to some of the major monsters throughout, major enemies that Godzilla had come across in the original films. If you've seen those, we used to watch. My brothers and I. There was one summer in particular we watched a lot of Godzilla films back to back, and they had Godzuki, if you know Godzilla's son or child, the little Godzilla person thing. So we watched all those things. We were so into it that we had picked up the 1962 King Kong versus Godzilla. We were so excited about that. We were a little bit disappointed. I remember being disappointed when we watched it. Like, how you see the fight, and it was like, hopefully, this new one that's coming out will be a little bit different. We'll see. If you've seen all the old movies, you get to see all the different monsters that Godzilla's fought, and this movie has nice nods to those, and that was cool to see. That said, I do feel like they did the best they could with bringing in those monsters and have it be not. It gets to the point to where it's almost falling apart at the seams because there's so many different things going on. There's so many monsters like key characters, because those are really the stars of the show. It reminds me of Pacific Rim, which I loved. A lot of people don't. I don't know. Some people don't like that movie as much. I think it's a great kaiju, like giant monster, giant robot battle movie. Beat 'em up. It has it hits some of the same beats emotionally to see big monstery things and big machines fight. There's something that's very primal for me about that. Like, you want to see people get, like, you want to see the punches. They're really getting down. Buildings are getting destroyed. People are running around. It's just like it's chaos. And when it's done well, it's fun, and it just feels, I don't know, cathartic or whatever it is. You're having a bad day and you want to see the good monster punch a bag monster or whatever it is. You want to see that fight. It just makes you feel, reminds you what it feels like to be alive. I mention it because it's Pacific Rim, I think, did a really good job with balancing the human element and the spectacle. In a different movie, the spectacle stuff would be what mattered, and it matters in all these movies. But I think what gives it resonance, weight, is how well the human stuff plays out. And if you don't have that, you have a lot of just big action sequences that are they end up being just that, and then the character stuff feels flat. I feel like Pacific Rim had strong character stuff that made the big battles mean more, whereas Godzilla, King of the Monsters, had a little bit of character stuff that was good. I didn't feel like the weight was there. I didn't feel like it was as strong. I felt moments of it, but I wouldn't say it was as consistent as I believe Pacific Rim was. So the Godzilla fights don't have the same weight. Even like they did in the 2014 version, they had a tremendous amount of weight in the 2014 version. I feel like something definitely is lost with in this film with the number of monsters and things that are in it, with the number of pieces. There are more pieces going on in this film that you sacrifice the emotional resonance for the spectacle stuff, and it's great spectacle. It's on par with anything that has similar sequences with giant monsters and things in it. It's fun to watch. You know, one thing I'll say about this is what that always intrigues me about films like this, particularly when you look at a film like Godzilla King of the Monsters and the original or older Godzilla films where he's fighting other giant monsters. You notice how quickly they were moving. Obviously, there were people in suits in the old movies. They moved. Their range of motion was very specific. There was a speed with how they moved when they fought and did stuff that felt very as fast as a human would move. Which feels like that's how it would be. Why is it that when you watch Godzilla King of the Monsters, yeah, we know they're all computer generated and they move slower. You could argue, well, why do they move slower? Because they're bigger and there's a weight thing to them. But if they shouldn't they move like this is just me overthinking it. Just bear with me for a second. I think what helps me not get hung up on the fact that they move a lot slower than they did when they were making these movies in the 1960s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, or whatever it is, when people were in bodysuits, is because of the weight the monsters carry. They're super heavy. So, and gravity, you know, it's just, gravity is a serious situation, even for monsters that big, that when they throw a punch or do something, it has to be, it looks deliberate, almost slow motion. But I think that something about that, when you think about it, it feels like, well, dang, man, it should be like this. They should do like this, like, you know. But whatever. That's beside the point. Anyway, the fights were good. The music was good. I think it was a fun film. You know, out of 10, I'd probably give it about a 6.5, 7 out of 10. Because if Godzilla 2014 is a 10, then this one is probably about a 7, I think, for me. It's solid. Not great, but it's solid. That's what I think about it. So, what do you think? I'm curious to know your thoughts about it. Let me know. I'd love to hear. I'd love to have some conversations. Talk Godzilla. Talk why you think it was great, why you think it sucked, whatever. Those are my thoughts on Godzilla King of the Monsters. Thank you very much for spending this time, taking the time to watch this video. And be sure to come back. In the meantime, this is Stephen Armstrong signing off. We're out of here.